guys, Cat Demon 43, and back with another part of the letter. Now, before I begin and explain on what happened last time, I wanted to let you guys know that I actually tried recording something else. And, oh, it was such a miserable failure. It was gonna be a part for Life is Strange, episode 2. And I got into 2 hours worth of recording, and I came away finding out that only part of it was, well, recorded. Audio-wise, like video-wise was fine, but the audio is like only a little chunk of it, and the rest was just that thin line just saying that there's no audio. And I think the reason for it was because I had pulled away my my headset by accident, and it wouldn't record the rest. And I was so mad. But also, I found out too that how I was recording it wasn't really working out anyway. And I think it's because I have too many games up. That might be the reason for it, for being laggy and such. I'm not 100% sure because I have this, and I still have Wise Chronicles up, which, you know, I might actually continue that one and see how far I get in that, because it's been ages. But yeah, not happy with that at all. And I also discovered too that I had to update my recording software, which also consisted of a paywall, because it wouldn't let me use my recording software until, like, oh, you have to purchase blah 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 blah. It was $25, but I'm like, still, it didn't even tell me in the notification about the update, you know, with bugs and everything, and I was kind of pissed at that. That there was no notification about that whatsoever in this thing. It was just like, oh, update this and it'll be fine. I'm like, oh, okay, sure. Hit the thing, does its update, and wait, what? Why is it suddenly unlicensed? Yeah. And on top of that, I found out I think I have to get myself a new controller for my computer. You know, like the Xbox one or the PlayStation one that you can get, that you can plug into your computer and all that stuff. Yeah. A whole bunch of fun things. But anyway, back to this. We are all... Ashton is having to leave his friends at the pub with G, Gregor, and potentially go to the mansion alone, where I believe we're going to be finally running into Marianne again. Hopefully, because, I mean, she's in the basement still at this point, locked up by the ghost. Or ghosts, because I believe there's still more than one, and I'm really suspicious about that, and maybe we'll find some clues in this basement. I really want to see if we can find clues about that. So, yes, we are gonna get back into it! Let's go! Hopefully nothing bad happens. Yeah, okay. Oh, yeah, we didn't leave yet, but we're going to. Alright, so, the sun hangs lower when I stumble back into consciousness and drag myself downstairs. Around this time, the patrons usually start to trickle into the main lounge until it reaches a peak around midnight. Today, however, it remains thin. But considering what day it isn't too worrisome for the kind of business G runs. He has always complained about the lack of a decent crowd on week start, although he doesn't really begrudge his customers for it. No one wants to start the week with a bad case of a hangover, after all, even him. Which makes the concerned look he gives me come off a bit too odd. Yeah, did something happen? With the kind of danger we're in, this swiftly puts me on the edge, even before sleep completely fades from my mind.
Something wrong, G?
Yeah. G hums, but there's an undertone of annoyance in despite his casual and open movements. And only after he finishes wiping a tumbler and carefully settles it face down on the table does he give me an answer. Oh, he looks mad. The way he stares back at me honestly makes me squirm, It feels like I'm being stared down by my primary school teacher for sleeping in class again.
Nothing much. Monday's still a slow day for this place. But you might want your friends.
Uh-oh.
Looks like one of them woke up on the wrong side of the bed while you were out.
Oh dear. Is it Rebecca? Another question forms in my head along with a small confused frown. Although before a single syllable slips from my mouth, Rebecca's it's irritated. Irate voice rings out from some part of the main lounge. From the sound of it, it appears woke up on the wrong side of the bed is a complete understatement.
Alone? You know we can't just go in there.
Yep, Zach told her. Told them.
We don't have any other choice, Becca! There's really no other way! We have to go there! If you'll just... Isabella, no!
Yeah, that doesn't sound too comforting. Once Rebecca assumes that kind of tone in an argument with Isabella, it usually ends with one of them walking out, or both giving the other the silent treatment. It lasts for about a week at most, if it's really bad, which really isn't what we need right now. I've hoped the bad blood from this morning will simply blow over after all of us has gotten a decent rest. Nope. I should have expected things won't be the same with them as it is with Zach and I. Turns out sleep isn't what some of us needed. Even G appears to understand it, in spite of his efforts to look as unconcerned as possible. There's a tense set on his shoulders. A nervous edge lingers in his eyes, as it occasionally flickers over where Rebecca and Isabella's voices are coming from. He doesn't want to deal with this, especially at the start of another busy week. Neither do I. Things have worked out well between them before, without Zach or I meddling. But the imploring gaze G directs at me leaves me with no other choice. It almost feels like he's guilting me into doing something about it. Probably. I hate that it's working.
You know how I run this pub, kid. No fist fights, no cat fights, only good booze, bad puns, and off-key singing. Go fix it before it blows up in your faces. I'd hate to throw two girls out of this place over a petty argument.
It's probably not as petty if Rebecca's already shouting like that, but I give him a nod nevertheless.
Sorry about this, G.
He hums something under his breath for an answer and waves me off, turning away and returning to his work without another word. Even with the lack of a sizable crowd, he likes to keep busy. We're the same in that regard. Can't remain still, always has to stay moving, doing something, thinking, whatever keeps the brain at work. I leave him to it shortly after. Rebecca's voice rings out once again, followed by Isabella's. But part of me wants to thank him for all the trouble he has taken for people he barely even knows. Once this is over, I should probably find some way. In the meantime, I have this immediate problem to fix. Gotta get to this before it turns into a shitstorm for the both of them. Into a shitstorm both of them will regret. And I know both of them will. For all of Isabella's complaints about Rebecca's bossy attitude, or how annoying Rebecca sometimes finds the other childlike demeanor, it's a friendship they both cherish in their own way. Oh dear. Rebecca's already on her feet when I spot them in an almost deserted area of the pub. Hold on a second. I'm willing to bet my entire life savings that people are staying away only because of the brewing storm. Rebecca can have quite the mood when she's crossed. I can't speak for Isabella, I rarely even see her seething, but from what I've heard, it can be very unpleasant. The way she's glaring up at the red head from her seat, regardless of how much the other woman towers over her right now, already says everything. Oh wow. Empty plates have been left neatly piled on one corner of the table they occupy. A conversation that turned sour sometime after a late lunch then. A good thing they're already done and nothing's left to be spilled. Whoa. Because in the next moment, before I can approach and intervene, Rebecca slams her palm on the table. It sends the silverware clinking sharply against the surface. Isabella flinches momentarily. We both do. Though she shows no indication of surrendering in the face of Rebecca's temper. Everything escalates from there.
You've already gotten us in enough trouble because of this let a ghost everything.
Oh. No audio again. Okay. You're blaming me again?
And you can't expect everyone to fix your mess.
What? She's not!
You keep on putting the blame on me, but you're the one who didn't listen. All of you. If you just listened in the first place, maybe this wouldn't have happened. But you're too busy acting like you know what's best for everyone, when in fact you're the one who's being selfish. I'm the one who's selfish.
Oh god. Ladies.
Yet you're still going to do what you want anyway, even if the people around you are already beside themselves with worry. This is how you've always acted since we met, and I'm tired of it. Sometimes I wish you never even came here, because all you've given us is a headache. You know why I had to come here. My dad. Your dad has nothing to do with this. It has always been you and your whiny, careless self that has always been the problem.
Oh? God, okay. Maybe I should have stepped in earlier. Yeah. Maybe I should have said something the moment Rebecca has slammed the flat of her hand on the table, or the second I entered the area. Either way, it's too late to act. Harsh words have already been hurled between the two. Oh dear. I'll take a moment to see this. I need it. When Ashton showed up at the pub's main lounge again, he caught Rebecca and Isabella in the middle of an argument. The latter insisted on going back to the mansion, which the former strongly opposed. However, before Ashton could step in, harsh words were already being said. Words more cutting than any blade, each and every one of it digging a wound too deep in the person they've been aimed at. For a long time, Isabella sits there in silence while Rebecca stands unmoving, arms crossed and breathing heavy. Despite the lack of words between them, they're both vibrating with anger, refusing to meet the other's eyes. Ever so slowly, the atmosphere in the room turns thick and smothering. A strained air no one in the immediate vicinity, including me, dares to break, until the one at the center does. Rebecca definitely won't. At some point in our friendship, she has grown to become a woman firm with her opinions. She's never going to back down from this, not when she knows she has a point. Isabella, on the other hand, there's always been a certain stubbornness in her. As frustrating as it is to see sometimes, is what's gotten her through life's hardships. Perhaps even the only thing that has. When you have nothing else, people tend to cling onto what they have within themselves instead. But she also knows when to withdraw when a struggle turns useless, a kind of awareness almost second nature to her. When enough is enough, Isabella abruptly stands and marches towards the exit. In fast, rigid steps, away from the hurt and painful words they let fly earlier. She bumps into me in her haste, the impact nearly knocking her off her feet. Instinct kicks in the last moment, and I reach out to her, grabbing her arm in a steady grip. Surprise lifts across her face, an expression mirrored by Rebecca behind her. Neither of them have noticed me. However, that doesn't mean I won't have things to say about this. Okay, it's not gonna go either way for me here. You know what, Rebecca? No, I'm gonna, for now, I'm taking Isabella's side. Sorry, hun.
You okay?
Yeah, it went down, Rebecca. You know, Rebecca, I know you care, but when you don't know a situation, like, I honestly know, like, she wants to think to help those people, to help people in general, she believes she knows what's best for them, but when she doesn't know the full picture, and she just assumes, that's not good. That's not a good thing. Rather than answer, once her shock subsides, she merely averts her gaze and hastily wipes the tears off her cheeks, like she only noticed them in that moment. Then, without another word, or even meeting my eyes again, she gently brushes me away, in an awkward hush in her wake. Rebecca soon slumps on the chair. Isabella has just left, gingerly reaching up to press the bridge of her nose and breathing out a ragged exhale. Arguments like this have always drained both her patience and energy, usually more than her rowdy students do, despite being no stranger to it. It's no excuse for her to say those things, though my disapproval must be clear enough on my face. When she finally glances back at me, her exhaustion immediately shifts back to annoyance, her mouth curving down into a tight frown. I cross my arm in response, waiting, a reaction verging on instinctive in the face of her irritation. Regardless of my opinions about this, I don't say anything yet, not until she's the one willing to talk. Another minute passes, while we stare each other down, but eventually she breathes out again and relaxes her rigid posture.
What do you want, Ash? If you have something to say, just tell me, or I'm going back upstairs.
Did you really have to say it like that?
Well, how do you want me to answer her? Do you want me to just let her go there and do what she wants? I know you won't be too happy if I did that.
That's a low blow, Rebecca. Even for you. We all know she wasn't even planning on staying here this long. There was no need to bring it up if all you wanted to do is stop her.
Did you even see how she's acting? She's not a child anymore. Even my students can do better.
Becca, she'll listen if you'll just ask her properly. I know you mean well and you do have a point, but please be a little more thoughtful next time. Go think about it for a while.
By some miracle, the whole discussion ends right there. Rebecca elects to stay silent, or at least it's how it seems when a minute or two passes as she says nothing. A rare occurrence when she's almost always has something on her mind. Only an uneasy atmosphere hangs in the air when I finally decide to remove myself from the room. She doesn't stop me. Instead, something inexplicable flickers momentarily in her eyes, one that quickly disappears until only a vague notion of it remains in memory. But in that one exchange, I've caught a short, clear glimpse of what has shifted, of what's inevitable. So much has changed throughout the years. We will never be the same person we once were. And if it's for the better, we've yet to know. A lull has descended on the main lounge once I return. You know, I'm curious. I'm gonna see what would happen if I did side with Rebecca. Yeah. Actually, no. I'll do it afterwards, like a separate thing or something. A lull has descended on the main lounge once I return. G's nowhere to be seen. People continue to trickle outside. Actually. Yeah. G's nowhere to be seen. People continue to trickle outside of instead of in, and by the time I get back, only 2 tables remain occupied. Soon these people too will be gone, and the whole place will be devoid of anyone. Frankly, its current state already leads the place an entirely different vibe. Along with the soothing strum of strings and a steady beat of drums playing overhead, there's a calming sense to this. Far cry from times I've been here before. And perhaps it's for this reason why Isabella has chosen this place to retreat. She sits quietly in the furthest corner of the room, and one of the tables sit right beside the windows. G usually keeps the curtains closed around this hour, but a small portion of it has been pulled back, revealing the busy streets outside. The late afternoon light spills right through it, outlining her small form and pooling on the surface of the table where both her arms rest. In her hand, she flips a piece of folded paper, turning it from one side to the other without any purpose. The letter. A small frown creases her forehead while she stares at it. Yet there's something oddly tranquil in the picture she has unknowingly painted. Something I can't bring myself to disturb, if only for a few seconds. It's one of those moments again. The rare ones. The ones where she's too still, too quiet. Complete opposite of her usual self. But it's these that often leave a mark. Not her cheery disposition or her lively attitude, but these short few seconds of wordless silence, and the soft sighs and the slightest movements sing louder. The smallest minuscule things that tell you about the person and her strength more than any words can express. It's these that carve a vivid memory, no matter how brief it lasts. She glares at me, annoyed, just like that. All of it melts away. Gone is the stillness, replaced quickly by the tensing of friendly jibs. Back again is what we're used to, what's easy, what's familiar, where every truth we hope to convey regrettably goes unsaid between us.
You're going to destroy an important piece of evidence if you keep doing that, Belle.
But she's far from angry. A bit upset, maybe. Who wouldn't be? While I do agree with Rebecca, her words still hit below the belt. Regardless, Isabella doesn't seem like she'll start shouting at me, at least compared to every other people I've aggravated, intentional or otherwise. Some light talk may just do the trick to coax her out of this mood.
Come on. If you keep staring at the table like that, you're going to bore a hole on it. I really don't want to OG a new table. He'll pick the most expensive one and leave me begging on the streets.
She leaves a quick glance at me, her expression dry and impassive, enough to drain every color out of the room. It's as if I've just told her a terrible joke, and she's expecting there'll be more of it. Really now. She needs to give me more credit than that. My jokes are funny, well, I want them to be.
And I really don't care. I'd even take pictures and post them online. Go away, Ash. I don't want to talk right now.
Yet it sounds half-hearted at best. Like what's happening has already sapped every bit of energy in her, and all that's left are the words. Pretty soon, those too will lose their meaning and leave a hollow shell in their wake. It's already unusual to see her like this. Everything has already gone to shit. I'd like at least the one thing to stay this one thing to stay normal. So somehow we manage. We continue for the better half of the hour, talking, joking, with her short, feeble responses and banter that never goes anywhere. But it's enough. In the grand scheme of things, amidst the chaos and death shadowing over us, it's these little inconsequential moments that matter. It's her smile, her laughter, when it finally rings, easy and free of her burdens.
Okay, I have another one.
I don't want to hear it, Ashton. Go away.
No, really, listen. I know someone who talks like an owl.
What?
Will you leave me alone if I bite and ask who?
A pause. And then she frowns, and realization slowly dawns on her, Confusion flashes fleetingly across her face before eventually settling on a grimace.
Oh.
Suddenly, she hugs her arms closer to herself and looks away, perhaps in her best attempt to stay angry. Aw, look at her face. To no avail. In a matter of seconds, her shoulders shake with laughter she's trying to contain.
You're awful, and I really hate you! Just leave!
It's contagious, her mirth. Soon I'm joining her in it, briefly forgetting every problem that has piled up and continues to weigh down on us. Laughing without reservation or care, until only a familiar warmth lingers, once both our amusement ebbs away. Somehow, with her, these things have always come easy.
Feeling better?
A little. You're still lame.
But you're laughing right now.
Only because your humor is terrible.
Right. Keep telling yourself that. I know it's funny. And you know what? If you've kept frowning like that, your face might have cracked. That would have been really messy and ugly.
If glares can kill, with the one she sends my way, I'll probably be dead now. Seeing it directed my way, it only takes a few quick seconds for me to realize how she might have also taken my statement. How wrong and rude it might have sounded to her ears, however unintentional it is. I've never been good with words, but that's never an acceptable excuse, is it? Suddenly, taking the brunt of her anger seems less complicated than correcting or explaining myself. Nevertheless, I try.
What? Crap. Damn it, that was so not what I meant. I was just saying you look better when you're smiling.
I love how it's all conjoined. Her glare doesn't even wane. In fact, I think it's intensified, like the brewing storm. In the face of it, under the sharpness of her stare and her annoyance, I do what any person with good sense of self-preservation does. Keep my mouth shut and shift my attention elsewhere. The crowd outside looks very interesting today. Maybe I should...
Thanks, Ash.
Aw. She utters all of it in a voice too small, too quiet, but when I turn to her, only those words, her gratitude, resonate throughout the whole room. Not the soft clinking of silverware somewhere, nor the last strains of music fading into silence above us. Instead, it's the meaning behind her gaze, as she holds mine, that lingers. Steady, unflinching, and open, in the same way she looked at me all those years ago, with bright eyes and an expression softening into a tender smile. I didn't understand it then. How easy it is for her to wear her heart on her sleeve, how she never shies away from expressing herself, even among people she barely knows. How she can go through everything without losing herself. Now it's among the hundreds, the thousands, that hang unspoken between us. Trivial, little things that worth still too big to put into words. Either because it's too early, or because there's never really a proper time. For now, though, this'll do. Until the moment itself dwindles. Until reality pulls us back in, reminding us of the things we've set aside in its favor.
Isabella, about what happened with Rebecca earlier.
I should probably apologize to Becca. I know she only means well. And I said some really bad things.
The corners of her mouth quirks up, almost as if she's too ashamed of the things she said.
Don't worry, she can be pretty stubborn, but she'll listen. Especially to you.
You think?
You're one of the few people she likes. She won't stay angry for long, I can vouch for it.
She has a point, though. Isabella freezes. In an instant, the pleasant air around us dissipates. She shifts her attention back to her hands again, both clenching so tightly that her knuckles visibly pale.
I know, Ash. I just thought we'd find something in there. That if I go back, we'll get the answers we need. I found the letter there, so maybe, right?
It's not that I don't agree with her. Hell, I've been considering the same thing. It's the only lead we have, after all. But Rebecca also has a point I will always agree with, no matter how desperate I am. It's not going to be a simple walk in the park. Who knows what we might find in there? If she comes with me, I won't be able to guarantee her safety. She'll even be in greater danger. Hence, alone. Exactly as I've told Zack. If there's a need to go back to that accursed place, I'm doing it on my own. Whether or not the rest of them agree with this plan is inconsequential. Their well-being is my top priority, and I'm not just about to drag them in there with me. So, I tell her as much, despite the determination and desperation in her eyes. Anything to keep her safe.
I can't let you do that, Belle.
Ash, the people living in that place now. They were with me during the open house. They have to know. They're in as much trouble as we are.
I know, but it's risky. It's dangerous. We don't know what you might find in there. Or if you'll even find anything. What if you see her again? What if she goes after you? What are you going to do? For all we know, it might be a dead end. It's not worth it. To put yourself in harm's way like that.
She offers no response, not even a form of resistance, no further argument like I've come to expect from her. Uncharacteristic. Just a silence that stretches far too thin, till the air in the whole room grows heavy. In front of her, her hand still stays curled up, like it's holding on to everything she wishes to say, but can't. I like to think that, yes, to some extent she understands. Even if she does not entirely agree with me, the dilemma's clear in her. Otherwise, her scowl wouldn't have a deeper set to it, her lips wouldn't be pressed in a thin line, or her hand would no longer be balled into fists. She would have pushed that argument. If she doesn't, and I know she has no lack of things to say. Instead, she simply offers a nod. And quiescence. Quiescence? I know that word. And in a moment of boldness, perhaps insolence, I reach out to her, taking her clenched fists into mine and drawing them closer to me. She sucks in a breath, soft and sharp, but doesn't say anything, merely watches as both my hands cradle hers. Cautious, mindful, as if it's the most precious thing I've held. Then again, maybe it is. Among with everything I've yet to convey.
Stop that.
Aw, music. Surprisingly, although the gesture has startled her, she yields, allowing a touch that is far too familiar and more than what I'm willing to give most.
You're going to hurt yourself if you keep doing that.
Gently, I unfurl her fingers, flattening out each digit against my palms. Her nails have already created small dents on her skin from how tightly she had held it close. A little more and she would have drawn blood. Deep as it is, smoothing a thumb over the tiny marks does nothing. But it's a small gesture we both find comfort in amidst this chaos, and all at once the tension lifts. Her expression softens, the lines of her shoulders ease, and it's only after her lips curve up into a faint smile that I let go, giving her hand one last squeeze before returning it to her. Part of me wants to tell her, admit that it's exactly why I'm planning tonight. What good will it do, though? I've already told Zack. One person is enough. Hell, simply letting someone in on the plan makes me iffy. broadening that circle and revealing too much would just cause another pointless concern. But someone has to be aware, at least of where I'm heading off to, in case things don't pan out. Expect the worst, even if I've only intended to do a quick survey of the place. In my own words, risky. It's best that I simply leave it as it is for now. Isabella doesn't need to be burdened with the worry of my entire scheme, what my entire scheme entails. I stand up as soon as footfalls shuffle from the next room. It's candid, slow, and hesitant. Oh. Shortly, Rebecca comes into view, clutching her hands firmly in front of her, and sporting the same uncertainty in her face. She casts me a curiosity look, then shifts a nervous one onto Isabella, who studies her with an almost hopeful gleam in her eyes. Their fights never did last long.
Belle, can we talk? Alone?
Her interruption could have not come any sooner, and I'm all the more glad for it. Whatever kind of friendship I share with the two, this remains something for only the two of them, much like my own with Zachary. I'm the outsider. They don't need me here. It's all the reason I need. Muttering an excuse and flashing Isabella a quick, knowing smile, I beat a hasty exit out of the main lounge and leave them to mend things on their own. Let's see. After scolding Rebecca for her harsh tone, a concerned Ashton followed after Isabella. He found her alone in a corner of the lounge, upset. Despite agreeing with her, he gently explained why going back wouldn't be a good idea. Thankfully, she eventually... I don't know that word. Oh my gosh. Horrible. I call myself a writer. Before Isabella can say what she's been mulling over, before the last imploring glance she directs my way forces me to change my mind. It's another lasting image that firmly etches itself into my memory, one that spurs the conscience, among other things. I just hope I won't regret what I've chosen for myself tonight. Galloway Shaw's Monday night crowd, although small and barely occupies a quarter of the whole pub, provides ample enough cover for anyone who wishes to leave the place unnoticed. Just exactly what I need tonight. With the lively music and chatter, slipping out, mostly unseen, becomes a piece of cake. Without much trouble, soon enough, I find myself standing outside under the chilly Luxbourne night. A gust of wind picks up shortly after I step out, carrying the telltale smell of impending rain. I'll give it about an hour or two before it starts. From the looks of it, tonight will be another downpour, maybe even stronger than the one we've had this morning. On instinct, I hunch further into my jacket, hugging its thick material closer to my body, while I weave my way through the lines of empty cars in the parking lot. The letter crinkles in my pocket with each step I take, though I pay it no mind as I hurry towards my car. I've nicked it minutes ago from Isabella's belongings on my way out. Oh my god. If this is all connected, I need this damn piece of paper with me. However ridiculous it sounds, I'm quite sure it won't be missed, either. But I can't waste time here and wait for her to find out, can I? 4 hours is all I'm giving myself to get this done. 3 if I'm inclined to go by the rules Z-Man set. But when have I ever? Regardless of how generous that is, each second's just important as the next. So I hurry, one footstep over the other, echoing as I make a beeline for my car. As with every plan, problems crop up the last second. It's practically a universal rule. And it does. In the form of a lone figure waiting for me next to my car. Rebecca turns just as I near, the corner of her mouth twitching up with a wry smile. She offers no greeting except for a slight tilt of her head. Even as my pace slows, I look at her with all that unvoiced questions in my eyes. She remains wordless, merely throwing her head back and shifting in attention up to the starless sky when I come to stand beside her. I thought you were with Isabella. What the hell? Another gust of wind blows as she breathes out a sigh, wary, thick, and something close to registration. The breeze carries all of it away, while she hugs her arms closer to herself to keep warm, which raises the question why she's out here. The air's already heavy, with the promise of rain. With clouds obscuring the view, there's really nothing left to be but dark blanket of nothingness. Still, she stands out here as if she's intentionally waiting for everything to fall. That, or she's here for some other reason. She's here for you, you dork. But before I can voice a single word, express a disapproval of any kind, she raises a halting hand at me, sharply cutting off the rest of my question.
I'm not here to stop you, wherever it is you're planning to go off tonight. I won't be able to anyway. You look like you've already made up your mind.
Yep.
Go back inside. It's going to rain soon. It'll probably be even heavier than the downpour we had this morning. You wouldn't want to be caught in it.
I will, in a moment. I just want to stay out here a bit for some air, away from the noise inside. Everything's been so chaotic these days. This little break is nice, even if it means standing in the middle of a parking lot, of all places.
Yeah, I've been there.
Getting out of this mess would definitely be better, but hey, you take what you can get, right?
Yep.
It'll be over soon.
The confidence in my own words surprises me, even. It surprises even me. How do I know? Why am I so sure? When, in truth, what I'm about to do is a last-ditch effort. If it fails, if I don't find anything, we're back to square one. It's the last lead I have. After this, we have nothing else to go off from. Regardless, it seems to amuse her, and her laughter soon sounds above the murmur of the distant traffic and the light draft sweeping around us.
How I wish. I'll be content as long as she stops showing up in my mind whenever I close my eyes.
Yeah, you and me, sister.
I think that may take some time. The brain doesn't easily forget trauma.
Yeah.
I can try. But, you know, it also did a lot to us.
Tell me about it. The back of my head's still smarting from my fall last night.
Not that kind. I'm talking about us. As people. I hate to admit it, but this whole deal with the ghost, with the curse, it also brought out an ugly side to us. To all of us.
Yeah.
And it made me realize plenty of things. About myself. About us.
Rebecca trails off. Suddenly a pensive expression spreads across her face. I've seen it countless of times before. And every time I see it on her, it's usually followed by a memory. A silly story or even something embarrassing I've said from childhood. Unlike me, who'll much rather forget, she remembers each of them so easily. And after a short bout of silence, when she smiles, I know this is one of those times again.
Do you remember that one time, back in secondary?
Which one? We did a lot of dumb things back then.
Yep, when you're kids.
Well, I did, but you get the point.
Mandy.
I thought you still don't like her. Don't tell me you've kept in contact with her. Are you guys friends now or something?
Oh no. We do see each other sometimes. on the way to work or when I go out for lunch, but it's nothing like that. We're not friends, not in this lifetime. I don't think so. I don't think we'll ever get along, but if it wasn't for her, we wouldn't even be friends, yeah? You stood up for me that day. And from then on, things have changed.
She makes it sound like I'm some sort of a hero. Mandy was in the wrong. Of course I'll defend her. If no one's going to stand up for her, who else will? Chances are, it would have escalated, and who knows? Maybe she would have stopped going to school or transferred. Any decent human being with an ounce of sense should know better. I acted because I know what I'm doing is what's right. It's as simple as that. Yet she smiles as if it's worth more than that. A fondness that goes beyond nostalgia.
I guess what I'm trying to get at is, this time, I don't want this to go unsaid. You know, just in case something happens. Ash, I've always been in love with you.
Oh wow, she said it. She says it so plainly, holding my gaze in a voice too frank. Her admission stuns me into silence, like the wind has suddenly been knocked out of me in one fell swoop. No words will form, not even a single coherent thought, as the meaning of her words bear down on me. Nevertheless, she continues, desperate to express everything she has kept to herself all these years. This is what the fondness is. Why, for her, it weighs heavier than any feelings of nostalgia can carry.
Since that time in secondary?
Oh wow, that's a long time.
Since I made that promise to never leave,
Aw.
I've always truly loved you.
At least you said it. I'm happy. Afterwards, there is a relief. A weight suddenly being lifted from her shoulders after so long. She closes her eyes and lets out a breath. When she looks back at me, though, there's nothing but hope in them. Eyes that are searching for an answer. Facing the sincerity behind her words, I find myself grasping, scrambling for the words. Because as much as this pains me to admit, I can't give her the same affection she's been asking for me. Yeah, things probably would have been way different if Rebecca's relationship thing with us was higher. What is it again? I know it's below the bar. Yeah, but still. We might have spent so many years alongside each other. Hell, we practically grew up together. But that never automatically means I'll ever hold for her feelings that goes beyond the boundaries of friendship. Yeah. I do appreciate her presence in my life. I'm more than glad that she has stuck with me even through the toughest moments. Even when she finds me difficult or aggravating. However, it's really all there is to it. She's a close, important friend to me, but nothing more.
Rebecca, I
draw in a breath, ragged, unsure, uncertain how and which words to put together so it will hurt her less, so the wounds they might leave won't be as deep or scar. Though before I can even string two phrases together, she lifts a hand to my mouth and silences me. Smiles on her face, kinder than every single one I've seen from her so far. It's nice to see it on her. It suits her more than the glares or the frowns. But at the same time, it only serves to baffle me. Oh, no voice audio again. You don't have to answer me.
Yeah, but I should...
No, I mean, you don't need to.
Okay, now I'm really confused. One moment you're saying you've been in love with me since secondary, now you're telling me to shut up?
If you want to interpret it like that, all right.
No, really. Some explanation would be nice, Becca. Because a lot of things are going on right now, and I'm afraid I can't catch up. Especially with this curveball you just threw.
It means what it means, Ashton. You don't need to answer me. I don't really need to hear it anymore. It's not that I don't want to. Believe me, if I were the same person I was before this whole thing happened to us, I'd be elated. Excited even. But, like I said, I also realized something. I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. Even after this. But, at the end of the day, once you take a closer look at everything, it also turned me into a really selfish person. When you think about it, maybe the Ashton I loved isn't the one standing in front of me right now. Maybe all this time, I'm still clinging on to that aloof kid I met 17 years ago. I didn't even consider that you have a mind of your own. That one day, it won't just be the two of us. That you'll find someone else and it won't be me.
I'm sorry, Becca.
I'm not even sure what I'm apologizing for. That I can't return her feelings? Or because I'm somehow holding myself responsible for this. Even if, up until now, I have no idea how she felt. Regardless, she continues to smile through it all.
It's not your fault. Don't say that. I'm the one who should apologize. Since I suddenly sprung this up on you when you have other things to do, I just thought I should let you know, so I can finally let this whole thing go. One question, though. Are you going to tell her?
Oh, yeah, she knows.
Tell what to who?
I pause, frowning. A brief moment of doubt, while I try to figure out what she's talking about all of a sudden. When it finally sinks in, though, my bewilderment hastily gives way to utter embarrassment.
Oh.
Just how he said it! It's amazing.
Oh, shit.
Heat abruptly crawls up my face. No matter my efforts to keep it down, in the end, I can only look away from her, afraid of what else she'll see in it.
Did you really think no one would notice?
Was it that obvious?
It was surprisingly easy to tell, but that was probably because I've known you longer than anyone.
Fuck, who else knows?
I think Zach suspects.
Shit.
You're embarrassingly lame when you're trying too hard. It's almost painful to watch. Don't worry. With your terrible way of flirting, and knowing her, I'm quite sure Belle has no idea, even now. Not even a clue.
Oh my god, you're enjoying this.
Harsh, Rebecca. Really harsh. I could use a vote of confidence, you know.
She laughs, loud, kind that free of any burden, ringing above the wind slowly picking up as the storm clouds approach. With it, however, the awkward atmosphere lifts. At last, there's only that camaraderie we've shared since meeting in that classroom 17 years ago.
I'm serious, though. Tell her. And if you ever make her cry, I'll hit you with every damn history book I have on my shelf. Clear?
That's probably a lot.
Noted, ma'am.
Anyway, thanks for hearing me out. I won't keep you long. I know you have things to do. Just promise me you'll be careful, all right?
She doesn't wait for an answer. Instead, she gives me a push, with a force only heavy enough to throw me off balance. Caught unawares by the gesture for a few moments, I fight for purchase against my car's trunk, bracing my hand on its smooth surface. When I look up, with a string of reprimands ready at the tip of my tongue, Rebecca's already halfway through the parking lot. Ashton left the mansion at nightfall, but when he got to his car, he found Rebecca waiting for him. Fearing she might not have the chance, Rebecca confessed her feelings, but before he could answer, Rebecca stopped him, admitted that she had been selfish and was letting him go. She only wanted him to know. That's sweet. Now that's a really mature way of going about it when you know that there's someone that you love, but they don't have those feelings for you, and you don't want it to be awkward, but you don't want to have this left brewing inside you. And you just want to admit, it's like, I loved you. I had loved you in the past. I had feelings for you, and I wanted to let you know that that was then, and now this is now. Things are different. And also, yeah, it was pretty darn obvious that Ashton obviously had feelings for Isabella. But yeah, I like that. It's really, really good to see. There's a small skip in her steps. While the breeze carries the light tune, she whistles. On a whim, I let its notes be the last thing I commit to memory before slipping inside my car and driving off. It sounds like a new beginning, more than anything. Another reason to be optimistic. Within 10 minutes, I'm driving out of Luxbourne and heading straight for Ansem Village. In the distance, flashes of lightning light up the horizon, white and sharp against the black curtain of the night. Thunder threatens with a rumble, seconds later echoing long across the sky. And with one last roar, the skies open in earnest. Oh, November 1st. Oh, do I want to keep going? I don't know. Screw it. I'm gonna keep going. The rain fall in fast, steady sheets, creating shallow puddles on the dirt path, drenching everything in the eyes can reach. Despite having grown up in the city, I still despise the rain. Living here doesn't mean I have to like it. Lucky me, I've reached the mansion before the downpours turned torrential. The long slog from Ansem Village by foot has already been made difficult by the light drizzle and biting wind buffeting against my body every few seconds. What happened to your car? By the time I found cover under the trees lining the vicinity of the mansion, my shoulders are already drenched. My hair is also sticking against my skin and out in every possible direction. Thankfully, the letter, taser, and gun I've brought with me has remained relatively dry. That's the most important thing. However, those are the least of my problems at the moment. Sometime after the housewarming party, scumbag Wright has suddenly grown a brain and tightened the security around the mansion. Guard is now stationed in every possible point of entry. The main entryway, the back door leading to the kitchens. Hell, it's almost a miracle no one has spotted me once I entered the property. Although that's probably because I've kept close to the forest. While I can always create a clever way in for myself under this deluge, it'll be difficult to do so without making much noise or leaving tracks.
I don't really have the luxury either, do I?
Yeah. Considering how off this place feels since I've stepped into the property and the mansion came into view. Every light is off. Even with the security personnel on patrol outside, the whole house itself, it feels empty. Eerie. Too quiet. Normally, I'll pass it off as some kind of power outage because of the storm. It's not a far-off conclusion when this place is almost in the middle of nowhere. However, something just feels wrong.
Something happened here.
Or about to. It's the sole reason I haven't done anything yet. Simply observing, watching, listening for anything. I might have been pressed for time, but I'm not a careless idiot. Although I need a way in, and desperately so, moving without thinking will only endanger me. With so many unknown variables, and what we're dealing with, I also have to act on the assumption that someone is always in danger, especially in this place. I can't act impulsively. As much as I hate Wright, I'm not about to cause his death because of one thoughtless action. If there's a place he deserves to be at, it's in prison, not the morgue. So when a hoarse, painful sob suddenly rings out above the loud pitter-patter of rain, only then do I stir. A woman. Perhaps a servant? Or worse, Hannah Wright. It's coming from the forest? Just right up ahead, in fact, not too far from the house. Regardless, I give the place a quick, wary glance before following the noise. Carefully, keeping to the shadows, one cautious step after another. Louder and louder it goes as I near. Shit. Until it abruptly turns into a loud, desperate, anguished cry. I break into a run. One nervous hand ready on the gun holstered at my hip, and the other raised for a balance as I scurry across the dense understory. Dead leaves crunch under my toes, but I pay no mind. There's only the voice, the woman, and nothing. Abruptly, it all stops, and I'm met with a sudden hush. Blank. Empty. Almost deafening in its stillness, even with my labored breathing and pounding heartbeats against my ear. Behind another branch breaks, and...
Help me.
Dread surges within me while I spin around and take a hard step back, ignoring the chilly pinpricks crawling at the back of my neck. Before I can even meet her eyes, the world unexpectedly pitches sideways, tilting and tilting till the ground beneath me finally crumbles. My hands fight for something to grab onto, only to meet air. But then, by then, it's too late. My foot slips further and the rest of my body follows. Dark spots blur the edges of my vision. Black tendrils twist and coil around my limbs. Soft footfalls echo from the far distance, scurrying, scampering, moving in an odd rhythm, with the sharp, piercing noise of her notes of her laughter. But more than that are the voices, leasing venom inside every crevice in my head. Murmurs that jeer, scoff, and deride. Over. It's because you didn't listen. And over. It's all your fault. And over again. Why won't you believe me? A reminder of what I've failed to do and who I've failed. What I'm trying to desperately fix. The scream threatens to burst, but my throat closes off. Ever so slowly, a chill seeps into every nerve in my body, washing away every sensation in me. Apart from one, there is only fear. Once again, her laughter echoes, a sound both bitter and unforgiving. It is the last thing I hear before she reaches for me. The ground trembles. The world slows to a stop. Oh shit, we're inside. Oh. The storm had started in earnest when Ashton arrived at the mansion. While trying to find a way in, the detective noticed the eerie silence that had been enveloped in the place. Something was wrong inside. But before he could figure it out, the sobs of a woman suddenly echoed. Half darkness greets me when my eyes finally snap open, the soft patter of dripping water somewhere spurring my consciousness further. For a few short moments I remain still, blinking away the dizziness, allowing my vision to adjust to the lack of light and my breathing so even out first, before pushing myself up on one arm and attempting to stand. Turning alone is a struggle on its own. An inch of movement sends a stab of sharp pain right up my arm and my back, giving me another pause.
Shit. I hope I didn't break anything. Fuck.
There doesn't seem to be any injury or major fracture, along with the whole of my back does feel sore and raw. Probably from when I've skidded down prior to landing myself here. A comforting thought. The second attempt comes earlier, easier later, though no less painful. And by the time I'm back on my feet, the exhaustion has left me grasping in short, shallow breaths and leaning heavily on the wall nearest to me. Looks like we're not going to be able to get back to our friends. Behind me, a light draft blows in from where I've fallen. Coming in short, sharp bursts into what apparently an underground tunnel and brings in the fresh, earthy smell of rain from the topside. Regardless, it fails to mask the old musty scent of the place, a mixture of mold, mildew, dust, grease, and something distinctly foul, like death. More worrisome is that putrid, festering smell, however, are the cells that line both sides of the tunnel. Under the dim light, I can barely make out what's inside on some of them, but I already have a few ideas, all of which I refuse to delve into at the moment. Knowing how long this mansion has stood, somehow, no matter how unexpected finding the existence of this place is, it isn't too surprising.
I wonder if Scumbag knows about this.
Who knows? Probably not, unless he's also the kind of person who takes joy in inflicting this kind of suffering on others. I don't really think so. He's rotten to the core, but not that rotten. He'll probably balk at this, move out at the first opportunity, and have it demolished. The very idea of what has occurred in this place years ago makes me reel as well. I've known long ago places like this tend to hold secrets. This, though? If this is just the tip of the iceberg? I fear what I may discover in the mansion itself and the tale behind this fucking letter. But fear's inconsequential. As unpleasant as the sight of this is, this place might as well be the only way of me getting inside unnoticed. Sighing and taking one last gulp of clean air, I push away from the wall and delve deeper into the passage.
Let's just hope it'll be smooth sailing from here on.
Turns out that alone is too much to ask for this early. No 20 paces into it, another sound abruptly rises from my footfalls, rebounding off the hollow walls and echoing inaudibly across the whole span of the tunnel before fading away into just as swiftly as it rang. I pause, nevertheless, straining my ears more for it, while I gradually move my hand to my side, slowly and steady, until the tips of my fingers brush off the gun's handle. Although cold against my skin, it's the closest thing I have to comfort at the moment. For a long minute, I wait, holding my breath, watching every form, edge, and shadow at the corners of my vision for any movement. After a heartbeat and nothing, I allow the tension to ease out of me in the form of a long, slow exhale that reverberates around the whole passage.
Who's there?
Yes! Perhaps it's because of what has happened earlier and how I've ended up here, or maybe it's because of my training. But in spite of the panic and fear that I voice, I don't immediately answer. Instead, I pull my gun free from its holster and wordlessly draw closer to where the voice rings out once again. Afraid. Frantic. Weak?
I'm asking you a question! Who's there?
It's Marianne! It's only after I've released the safety do I answer, while continuing my approach in the careful, steady pace.
I think I should be the one asking you that. Who are you? Show yourself!
I can't! I'm stuck in here!
Well, a ghost will definitely not be saying that, or have a conversation like this, or be stuck anywhere. And as if to prove her point, she extends a hand from one of the cells ahead and waves. Then she pulls back, grips the iron bars, and rattles it lightly.
I can't get out! Can you help?
In 5 quick steps, I'm standing in front of the cell, and I'm sure enough it's a woman and a woman's inside. Slumped on the floor, holding the bars with shaky hands, clinging to it, as if it's the only thing keeping her upright. And not just any woman.
You? McLaughlin?
McLaughlin. The same one I met at G's 5 days ago. Smashed, drunk, and babbling her frustrations about her employers.
Holmes?
No, not McLaughlin. McCullough. Marianne McCullough, famous interior designer extraordinaire. Not so extraordinary now, with how exhausted and feeble she looks, trapped in a jail cell of all things. Her breathing shallow, and there's a paleness to her complexion. Sunken eyes, cracked lips, dry skin, all signs pointing to starvation and dehydration.
What? How long have you been stuck in here?
3 days? 4? I don't know. I have no idea anymore.
Oh, sweetie.
I just fell in, and that woman... Whatever. Can you get me out of here? Please.
In a moment. But here, go feed yourself first before you fall over.
Energy bar. Yay. I fish out the energy bar from my pocket and hand it to her. She's lucky I always have one on my person. For sudden emergencies or extended stakeouts, a little sugar can keep me going. Like a starving person, she wastes no time making a grab for it, unwrapping it straight away, and taking in whole mouthfuls of it. Relief washes over her face on the first bite alone, although she's going to need more of that than if what she said is true. But for the moment, it's enough to keep her alive. Good thing she seems to have a sense of prioritize survival over comfort, if the puddle in the corner of the cell indicates anything. Without water, the human body can only survive 3 days. No food, and I'll give it an average of 3 weeks. Even then, it won't be a pretty experience. Granted, some have survived longer than that. She's still fortunate I found her when I did. Now to get her out. My bobby pins won't be of any use here. Not like I need it. Unlike the ones we have at the precinct, a simple barrel hinge holds the gates to the cell together. Even without any special tools, I'll be able to lift the door and free her. However, with how heavy it seems, I'll need a lever of some sort to help.
What are you looking for?
Some wood, a 2x4, I guess, a plank or a pipe, anything I can use as a lever. Wait here.
The hallway yields nothing but dust, dirt, and a few rusted chains scattered about. While I may find something in one of the open cells, I'm reluctant to check or even step in. We can't have another person trapped in here. However, McCullough ended up inside.
Well, there's no...
My head snaps back to her. Holy crap! McCullough extracts a wooden board from underneath the mess of hay and twine near her. Without prompting, she slips it through what little space there is between the bars. It's short, but appears thick and sturdy enough for my intended purpose upon closer inspection.
Good enough.
I hope. I get to work at once, anchoring the other end of the plank at the base of the door and applying ample force on the other end. It takes a bit of effort, no kidding about the heavy part. Still, a grunt, a gasp, a crack. In a matter of minutes, with a little help from her on the other side, the The door eventually lifts off its hinges. It falls onto the ground with a loud, ugly, metallic thud, but the sound has put elation on McCullough's face. She doesn't even ask for help. As soon as she can, she hastily crawls her way out of the prison she's accidentally found herself in. More than happy to get out of it, despite lacking the strength to stand firmly on her feet.
Thank you! Thank you so much!
Oh, I'm so glad you're okay.
After the second day, I was so sure I was going to die in there!
I thought you'd be found by Luke, but I guess not.
If you didn't show up... I don't even want to think about it.
How did you even end up here?
For a second, she appears hesitant, looking away and fumbling awkwardly with her fingers.
I was looking for something. Someone.
A contemplative expression flickers in her eyes. Something that was close to wistful, like when a person remembers a memory she's fond of. It doesn't last too long, but it still leaves me with the impression that I've suddenly walked into something private. Something deeply personal for her. I'd rather not ask.
So this whole tunnel, at the end of it, it leads right inside the mansion?
The wine cellar.
Right into the kitchen, then.
There's a door of some sorts. I don't know. I think I pulled or pressed something somewhere. I was in a hurry. And I'm not sure if it'll open from this side. Hell, this place wasn't even in the floor plans!
What do you mean? Oh, here we go.
Does that really matter now? We have to get out of here! People died in this place! Kids! Oh God! Kids! I could have shown you, but that thing won't turn back on anymore. It's like it only waited for me to see it before shutting down or something. How long has that thing even been in there? But those poor kids. All because of that thing.
Wait, hold on. What are you talking about right now?
The bloody letter! Ever since I've read that thing, since that day at the open house, she won't leave me. But it should be fine now, right? I broke it. I broke all of it. She shouldn't be able to do anything now.
McCullough, one at a time.
It's all that fucking paper's fault! Oh God! Oh God! Dear Lord in St. Adelaide, bless those poor souls. We're not safe here. We need to leave. If we stay here any longer...
McCullough!
Abruptly, she stops, looks back at me with a wild, panic-stricken eyes. I've seen enough of it so many times these past few days, from my own friends even. Yeah, she looks so terrified. She's even crying. To know she has seen things, the kind that'll easily make any person go mad. And perhaps we slowly are. The longer this takes, the faster our descent into this becomes. I can't even tell which one's worse, death or this. Seems like no matter what we end up with, there'll only be something horrible waiting for us. I need to hurry.
Listen, I need to get inside this place, and you're more familiar with its layout. If you can help me...
What? No! Why would I go back? Are you sure you haven't gotten raving mad yet? An exit's right here.
And this business with the letter has to end at some point. Look, I know you're not very fond of Luke Wright.
Damn right I'm not. He can just go.
But are you really sure you want to leave him like this? And what about his wife?
It strikes a chord. She falters, grows quiet as the tension lifts from her and her shoulders slump. I don't understand her issues with this. In fact, she doesn't have to go with me, only to tell me enough info so I can figure it out on my own. She can always leave afterwards, be done with this whole damn mansion and the letter. The other end of this tunnel leads right into the forest. It'll provide ample cover for her to slip out of the property unnoticed. All the same, she steels herself and squares her shoulders.
Just until the kitchens.
That's more than enough.
She nods, albeit weakly. Without another word, she gestures for me to follow, leading me further into the passage. After his fall, Ashton found himself in an underground passage. When he came to, there he encountered Marianne McCullough, who got trapped in one of the cells for several days. The detective managed to free her, and in turn, she helped him find a way into the mansion. Occasionally, she'll stop, find a purchase on the wall to catch her breath. But throughout the short walk, she asks for neither a break nor assistance. I suppose that's something we have in common. Eventually, we get to a dead end. Although before I can question her on it, she begins palming for something on the wall. Tracing her fingers along the weathered edges of the bricks, with a frown on her face.
It should be somewhere here, I think.
What the hell are you doing?
She merely holds up a hand, begging for my silence, and continues searching. Then, without warning, a few minutes later, something clicks. A portion of the wall shifts ajar to reveal a glimpse of another room. Bottles lining the walls, liquor barrels for aging. The wine cellar, indeed.
The ladder to the kitchen is on the far end of this room.
Surreal. This is all nothing but a surreal nightmare. And after everything, should this even surprise me? Ghost, curses, hidden passages? Okay, I think I can't even bring myself to question the existence of this door anymore. I simply follow her into the undercroft without a single question, in spite of a number of them already swimming inside my head. As a kid, I used to crave this kind of adventure. The stuff of mystery, the detective novels, daring chases, interesting cases to solve, suspects to put behind bars, to serve justice to. I was blinded, I admit. Now I simply want this to be over. We leave the door open in case there's a need for a quick exit, especially after she mentions it's only by chance she is able to open the door the last time. I can't waste time finding the switch again on the occasion something goes horribly wrong. There's bound to be. With me feeling this high-strung and tense, I'm not even sure why, though, it'll be a good idea for me to enlist McCullough's help. Although she's been quite helpful so far, I can't shake off the horrible feeling that something's going to happen to her if she stays with me. Even if I'm her safest bet if she wants to get out of this place alive.
You really believe that, don't you?
Oh shit.
Did you say something?
McCullough pauses mid-step, turning to me, confused.
I didn't.
You sure? I just heard...
Don't you think I'll be the first person who'll know? Look, the ladder leading to the kitchen's up ahead. You might want to hurry. I just want to be done with this place.
See? You dragged another one.
This time I'm sure. There's really a voice. Well, the voices. Despite the look of protest McCullough shoots me, I find myself stopping and looking for it, searching the immediate surroundings for the familiar form of the woman. I don't even have to venture far from where I am standing. Just an arm's length away from me, mirror shards litter the floor. Right on the biggest fragments. Holy shit. They speak. All singing the same mocking tune against my ears, letting it echo throughout the small undercroft. Murmurs and laughters, jeering, scoffing, dreading, lacing venom into every crevice in my head, taunting me.
You dragged another person into this, Ashton.
Into another one of your silly little problems.
All because you can't fix them on your own.
Holy shit, that's terrifying.
You really haven't changed, have you? Some hero you are.
Useless.
Pathetic.
You're wrong.
My mistake lies in the first instance I've answered. The very second denial has slipped from my mouth, their words have also seeped into my heart, allowing it to prod at the rouse my temper. Despite knowing they are merely doing this to goad me, each word, each syllable trickle into me, spurring the guilt I've long buried.
Are we?
Or is that simply what you've been telling yourself all this time?
Something to make yourself feel better, perhaps?
You're the one who took that letter off Isabella's hand that day. You're the one who opened it.
How does it feel, I wonder, to know you're responsible for all of this?
What do you think I'm doing? Why do you think I'm still trying to fix this?
Oh, but you can't. It's already too late. And you know that. You know all of this is futile.
Just face it, Ashton Frey. You're a failure, and they are the ones who have to pay for it.
A badge and a gun, and you still can't protect your own friends.
They're still alive.
Can't even solve a case for an old man.
Can't even bring Luke Wright to justice.
Can't even keep his own family together.
How does she know all this?
No wonder they left you. Before you do the same thing to them.
Mom and Dad are better off without little old you, aren't they? It's a good thing they had the sense.
Pitiful, isn't it? Some detective you are. Some friend you are. Some son you are.
Oh, this is awful.
You might as well just throw that rank away. You're no use to people either way.
Shut it!
I hate this. I hate how this monster can easily get through to me. Every weakness, every insecurity, it knows. To hear it said in my friend's voice, even more so. But what I hate above all of it is...
You know it's true, though.
All of it.
It's why all you can do is tell us to shut up. You don't want to hear a single word, because you're already aware of it.
You can't even admit it to yourself. Who's the coward now?
But no matter how hard you try, you're not gonna be able to save anyone.
Shut it! Not a single word anymore!
In the end, your own incompetence will eventually lead to the deaths of everyone you care about.
It laughs, sharp and piercing. At its sound, something in me snaps. Rage hastily unfurled, red filling my vision, and next thing I know, I'm raising my hand and... Something grabs at my wrist, followed by a buzz of another voice breaking through the haze.
Don't listen to it!
The fog of my mind lifts. Every sound, every noise returns to me, flooding my every senses. All at once, there is deafening silence. Slowly, I become aware of my surroundings. Bottles of wine, barrels of liquor, the faint old scent of death and decay somewhere, and a hand holding onto my wrist as if to keep me from hurting myself. My hands, a shard, blood drips from where it is cut into my palm, trailing down from my wrist until it disappears behind my sleeve. Not too deep. Negligible, even. There is a pain, however, a different kind. An ache somewhere else that stems not from the wound, but where every single word has hit. When I glance up at McCullough, she merely stares at me with wide, horrified eyes.
Don't listen to it! No matter what happens, don't do what it says! It's how it gets us.
My grip on the shard falters, but only after I nod and drop it entirely does she release her grip. Afterwards, she simply steps back and looks away. Hugging her arms closer to herself, she breathes a sigh, heavy. Perhaps, weighted on her own guilt, what this monster might have used against her.
Come on, we're getting close.
She walks off, without another comment. There's worry in her as she gives the fragment one last glimpse. Before he could go deeper into the wine cellar, Ashton began to hear voices coming from the mirror, the shards on the floor, mocking him for his failures, though before he could do anything rash, Marianne stopped him. Belatedly, he realized he had picked up a broken mirror shard. On the ground, they lie lifeless now. No more voices, no more insults. But even as I walk away, only whispered taunts continue to ring in my ears.
It's useless, Ashton Frey. You are going to die.
And you are going to die alone.
A fear. One that has been long kept in the darkest place in my heart. One that a small part of me wishes for. Yeah, okay, saving. Calling it here. Nearly recording for almost 2 hours. Oh my god. Hopefully this doesn't get wrecked or anything. I hope. Oh god. But yeah. Yay! We found McCullough! She's okay. Everything's going to hell. That was terrifying. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode of The Letter, and I hope you all have a wonderful night, day, week, whenever, and I will see you all next time. I have this odd feeling that either this next one or hell, maybe the one after that will be the end of Ash's story. I just have that feeling. And then we're gonna be on to Luke's. Oh, that is gonna be interesting. But until then, guys, I'll see you all next time. Bye!